right. So I think we should start now. Almost 10 minutes now we're waiting, and let's get started without any further delay. First, let me start the recordings. Okay. So if I just give you a quick recap, in the last class we have discussed about the course curriculum, the timing, duration, right, as well as the basic parts of the data center network and what we are expecting from you guys to know before joining this training. So you must have an idea of network, types of communication, what is OSI model, TCP IP model, IP addressing, MAC addressing, simple basic switching and basic routing as well. This is what we expect from you guys if you're joining this data center training, because it's a CCNP level stuff. So the CCNP level stuff, you must have the basic understanding of CCNA, right? Then we can go for CCNP thing here. Then after that, I gave you an idea of the building blocks of data center network, the computational resources, the storage resources, as well as the network part. As well as the network part, we have it here. In the storage, direct attached storage, network attached storage, storage area network, then the underlying network where we have the interconnection of compute, storage, and users. After that, we have seen the difference between network attached storage, storage area network, then what are the nexus switches and MDS switches. Then we have two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture. And in the data center, nexus switches, either they are running in the NXOS mode or in the ACIOS mode. After that, compute, networking, storage, virtualization, and automation, which are part of this, right? And then we have added a Cisco Nexus switch in the Eve engine. So first of all, guys, if you have Eve engine in your laptop, you can do one thing. You can add this Nexus image. Okay, I'll show you how you can download this. So power on this virtual machine, the Eve engine. So there's a website. The Lab Hub. In the Lab Hub, we go to the add-ons. In the add-ons, we'll go to QEMU. In the QEMU, we have the virtual Nexus switch. We have the virtual Nexus switch or Cisco Nexus. Catalyst, Cisco Catalyst, Cisco Catalyst, Cisco Nexus 9000V. In Cisco Nexus 9000V, you see a lot of files are there, right? But we will be downloading this file, the first one. You click on this, and inside this we have the option to download this file. So let me share this link with you guys in the chat box also. Using this link, we can download this Nexus switch. Okay, once you download this image, once you download this Cisco Nexus image, you will log into your Cisco EVNG, sorry, not Cisco, EVNG platform using the WinSSP software. So you just put the username, IP address, and now you notice that first of all, you'll go back to the OPT. Inside OTP, you'll go to the unit lab. In the unit lab, we'll go to add-ons, QMU, and here you will upload that image. So you notice that I have added that image Nexus OS V9K 9500 V9.3.3. So on the left hand side, I have downloaded that image. So you just have to drag and drop like this. I've already done this. So yeah, but first you have to download this Nexus image and then you'll copy it from the desktop to the EVNG folder in the QMU folder. After doing this, after you add the image, in case of Cisco EVNG, you need to go to the putty, and in the putty 192.168.236.129, we'll log into the EVNG and we'll say OPT unit lab add-ons QM. So if you go to this folder and you say ls, it means that I just want to see the directory. So inside this directory, you can notice that the uploaded image is right here. The uploaded image is right. So we will be running a command here known as fix permission. OPT unit lab wrappers UNL wrappers space dash a fix permissions. So this command is must. This command is must. Whenever you add a new image in the EVNG, you have to enter this command, guys. And once you enter this command here, I've already did this, but I'm just doing it for you guys. And it's in the recording class. So it's in the recording as well. Okay. So once you enter this fix permission command, now we'll go to the browser and we'll start our EVNG. So guys, first we are starting with the Nexus switch. But today I'm just showing you that how you can add an access switch, how it can be installed, and how you can do the basic setup. Then we'll start with the hardware part. Nexus 2K, 3K, 5K, 7K, 9K. We'll discuss about those hardware. But first of all, let's add a switch here. Click on node, Nexus 9K. And you notice that now we have two images. So the last image, this was the image we have added in the last class, but today this is the latest one. And I'll say save. Once you'll say save, from the left hand side, you can just zoom it. Right click and start. So I will start my Nexus switch. I will start my Nexus switch. It will take some time. And today also, like the last class, it will go to the loader mode. And we'll discuss why it goes to the loader mode and what is the solution to avoid that. What is the solution to avoid that? So like a normal switch, in the Nexus switch also, we have the CLI modes, right? We have the user mode, as we have discussed in the last class. We have the privilege mode, and we have the configuration mode. By default, there's a username. Even if you log into the Cisco Nexus switch for the first time, even if you log into the Nexus switch for the first time, it will always ask you for the username and password. So as we have seen in the last class, by default, the username is admin and the password is null. Nothing. You just have to say enter. Just have to say enter. So once you'll say enter, we will be having the CLI access of this Nexus switch. So it's booting up right now and it's fast comparatively to the other image. I hope the font size is okay in here, right? It's visible to everyone.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Sir, one doubt. How much RAM required to run the 9K Nexus OS in the laptop?
Just a second. Your voice is not. Uh, yes, please.
My question is, how much RAM is required in our laptop to run the 9K Nexus OS?
If we have 16 GB RAM, then it will run smoothly. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's booting up. So now, first of all, what we will be doing, guys, we will be setting the bootable image. All right. So in the Nexus switches, they are very powerful switches and they offer us different bandwidths. So first of all, in the Nexus, we have Nexus series switches. We have Nexus 2000 series. They have a name also known as Fabric Extended. We'll discuss that why we call them Fabric Extended. Why we call them Fabric Extended. We'll discuss about that. Then we have Nexus 3000 series switches. Nexus 5000 series, Nexus 7000 series, as well as the Nexus 9000 series. Cisco Nexus 2000 series, 3000 series, 5000 series, and the Nexus 7K and as well as 9K. These are the series. None of them is worst or best. It all depends on the requirements as well as needs of the network, right? And as per the budget, we can choose the platforms. Nowadays, the 9000 series is a norm, right? In most of the data center networks, we are using Cisco Nexus 9000 series switches. We are using Cisco Nexus 9000 series switches, and they are also known as 9K. So 9K or the Nexus 9000 is the family of the Nexus switches. But in this Nexus 9000, we have different models, okay, like 9300 series, 9500 series. We'll discuss about that also. We will discuss about that also. But let's go to the EVNG and see what's the status of our Cisco Nexus switch. So this Cisco Nexus switch is booting up. Most of the processes are done. All right. What's common in all of the switches? Similar to a catalyst switch, a switch is a multi-port device. Either it is an access switch or it is a catalyst switch. The number of interfaces also depends on the series. It also depends on the series. And we have Nexus switches in two formats, guys. Either you can have the Nexus switches in hardware form, or the Nexus switch can also be virtualized. The Nexus switch can also be virtualized, and it can be added on a server as a virtual machine. On a server as a virtual machine. What we can do here, we can go to the official website of Cisco, known as software.cisco.com. You can go to the product line also, but this is a better option. I just want to download the images, let's say. So once you want to download the operating system images or the operating system itself, you can click on browse all. On the left hand side, you can go to the switches section. And once we go to the switches, we have the option of data center switches. So in this series, you can notice that we have 9300 series, 3000 series, 5000 series, Nexus 6000 series, 7000 and 9000. Let's say if I click on Nexus 9000 series switches, the first thing you notice is on the top of this list, we have an operating system for Nexus 9000 V switch. Oh, sorry. Here, on the top of this list, we have again, okay. We have Nexus 9000 vSwitch. This is a virtualized switch. It can be added on one of the server as a virtual machine. And then we can assign the interfaces and it can start working. So guys, okay, let's come back to the EVNG first. And now my switch is not going to the loader mode this time, and it's directly going to the power on auto provisioning. This POP This POP is very interesting feature. It is not part of this training, or this is not a cup of tea. But if I just give you a brief idea of this POP, POP stands for power on auto provisioning. So in the Nexus switches, we have a feature. Let's say for the first time, if you're booting up a Cisco Nexus switch, the Nexus switch can download the configuration and rest of the things from a TFTP server. You can have everything in sync, or you can have everything planned, and using this you can ask your Cisco Nexus router to go to the FTP server, download the OS from there, download the configuration file from there, and then use it. Download the configuration file from there and use it. So it can be used, and this is known as power on auto provisioning, or this is known as POP. But right now we don't have this setup here. Right now we don't have this setup here. That's why what we're gonna do, we're gonna skip this part. We're gonna skip this part and we're gonna use manual configuration. That's why it is asking you, what do you want? You want this auto provisioning to be there, or you just want to skip it? Or you just want to skip it? So now we'll choose as skip. So once you'll say skip, then it will give us the access of the user mode so that we can make the configuration. Okay, so now we'll go to the configuration options. This may take 5 to 15 minutes just to skip this process. Okay, we got the user login. So we will log in with the username. So right now the username is, as you know, admin. Password, nothing. You just say enter, right? And we are in the privilege mode now. And what I can do here, I can say disable. So disable is not working. No. dir. First of all, in the directory, you notice that we have a lot of files, but this is the operating system of this Nexus switch now. If you say dir, in the dir, it will show you the list of the files in the boot flash. And this is the operating system of our Nexus switch. You can verify this thing from show version also. If you run a command show version, now the image file is nxos 9.3.3.bin. So our switch is running this operating system at this moment. But there's one more command you can run on the Nexus switch known as show boot. That's the problem. And because of this, we notice our Nexus switch go to loader mode by default. Our Nexus switch go to loader mode because of this. Because by default, the bootable image is not set. By default, the bootable image is not set. And if the Nexus switch has multiple images, it will go to the loader and it will ask you that, okay, please tell me which image should I boot. So you will configure your Nexus switch to boot from a particular OS. But at this moment, I'm not able to admit Ratan. Is there any problem with the Google Meet? I'm audible, guys.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
But I can't admit Ratan. Ratan, are you in the meeting now?
Yeah. Some network issue.
Okay. Give a message that Ratan wants to join this call. All right. Then here you notice that NXOS variable node set, boot variables on next reload. So because of this setting, it always land in the loader mode and it asks us to define the image manually that please boot from this image. Now, what we'll do, first of all, we'll go to the configuration mode and we can give it a name, host name, Nexus 1, let's say. So I've configured a switch name. So host name is changed, boot, NXOS, image is in the boot flash. Which one? This is the problem with this CLI. We can't scroll up. Let's log out. admin EVE, and let's open the HTML console. Sign in. Admin EVE HTML console sign. Okay. Now here you can run the command again dir. After that you can say boot NXOS from the boot flash and image name is this Nexus 9.3.3.bin. So we have defined the bootable now. So from the next time, even if you reload this Nexus switch, it will always boot from this image. So it will not go to the loader mode now. It will not go to the loader mode. Okay, it's take some time, but so this Nexus switch now will set the bootable image using this command boot nxos boot flash, and this is the image. Once it's done, we can exit, and after that we can save the configuration also. We can save the configuration also. But in physical switches we have the supervisor also, supervisor 1, supervisor 2. Once we'll move to the hardware section, we'll talk about it. So you can set it for each and every supervisor that this is the bootable image. Performing image verification and compatibility check, please wait. That's why it's taking this much time, guys. Okay, it's done. Now if we say exit, show boot, you notice now nxos variable is equal to boot flash nxos 9.3.3.bin, and then we can say copy running configuration to startup configuration. Once we make this configuration here, once you save the configuration, right, even if we reload the device now, the configuration will be preserved. The configuration will not be changed. So whenever you boot an access switch, even in EVNG, and it goes to the loader mode, it will show you like something like this loader. Okay. So in the loader, you can do one thing. You can just run a command dir. Once you run the command dir, it will show you the files, and then you can say boot and the nxos file. You can boot using this nxos file like this one nxos.9.3.3.bin. Once the Nexus switch boot, you go to the configuration mode and you change the boot file that this is the bootable image. So from next time, whenever you reload the Nexus switch, it will always boot from the file which we have configured here. The file which we have configured here. And the command line is very easy. We need to go to the configuration mode. Right, this is my switch. It's Nexus switch, but by default the host name is switch. In the configuration mode, you will say boot nxos boot flash, whatever the file name, either it is nxos, the operating system version also, you will just select it from the directory and then you will set it as bootable image. After that, we can go back to the privilege mode and you can run a command show boot. So you can see the bootable image. You can see the bootable image. That's the basic thing about Nexus. Okay, first of all. Second, you notice if I want to check the interface status, I have a command show interface status. The same command is available in catalyst switches, guys. Agree? Hello.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
in the
Yes.
Nexus switches also we have the same command. Show interface status. And one of the biggest change here you will notice in the Nexus switches, guys. You notice that it is showing the interface name Ethernet 1/1, Ethernet 1/2, Ethernet 1/3. So whenever we go to the catalyst switches, in the catalyst switches, you will always notice that if I say show interface status, the catalyst switches will show me. These are the basic differences. Okay. Later on, you can also make the notes. I'll share this notes file also. In the catalyst switches, we have interfaces. Let's say Ethernet. What does Ethernet means, guys? Ethernet means an interface with the bandwidth 10 Mbps. Agree? Then we have fast Ethernet. What is the bandwidth of fast Ethernet?
1 gig.
100 Mbps. Right? Then we have gigabit Ethernet. So for the gigabit Ethernet, you have the bandwidth of 1000 Mbps. 100 Mbps, 1000 Mbps. Likewise, we can have 10 gigabit Ethernet also. We can have 10 gigabit Ethernet also. In case of catalyst switches, uses speed based prefixes. But in Nexus switches, this thing has been removed now just to avoid the misconfigurations and all, because you I instead of interface fast ethernet 0/1, you are saying interface ethernet 0/1, so the interface type is different. That's why in case of Nexus switches, always use ethernet prefix regardless of the port speed, guys. So either you have the fast Ethernet interface or you have gigabit Ethernet, 10 gigabit Ethernet. But whenever you'll check the interface status, you will always see Ethernet interface. That's all. Nothing like this fast Ethernet or gigabit Ethernet. If I go to the configuration mode and I say show interface status, did you notice one more thing, guys? I'm in the which mode right now?
Configuration mode.
But still I'm able to run the show interface status. If I have to do the same thing in catalyst switch, what will be the difference?
Yeah, we need to put the do command. Do in
Do,
front of.
do,
Yes,
do command.
do command. In case of Nexus switches, Nexus CLI, Nexus CLI, CLI modes are identical to catalyst switches. Write command is not supported. you have to execute copy running config to startup configuration command to save the configuration. The write command is not supported in Nexus CLI, guys. That's a difference we have. Okay. Do keyword is not required to run privilege mode commands in the configuration mode. That's also a change we have. So if you want to run the privilege mode commands in the configuration mode, you don't have to add the do keyword. In case of catalyst switches, we have the file system and the files are in the flash or NVRAM. But in case of the NX OS, the Nexus OS operating system, because when we talk about a Nexus CLI, it means that it is based on NX OS operating system. It is based on NX OS operating system. Most of the features are disabled by default. Who is feeling sleepy? I had it 2 times. Can have some tea, coffee, or I think you are tired. Please mute your mic. Most of the features are disabled by default. In the last class also, I gave you a glimpse of this. If I want to configure OSPF on Cisco Nexus switch, I can't just go to the configuration mode and say router OSPF. No, it will not work. But in case of Catalyst switches, it will work without any problem. So here, first of all, we have to say feature OSPF. Why do we have this thing, guys? Because if you are running a process in the background, that process needs some resources. And Nexus don't want to give any resources to a service which is not in use at the moment. That's why you notice that most of the features are disabled. And if you want to use OSPF, you have to say feature OSPF. If you want to configure VPC, we need to enable the feature. For EIGRP, enable the feature first. So first you enable the feature and then you can make the configuration. So in Nexus switches, the feature command is new. Because with the help of the comparison, it will become easier to understand the difference. Feature command is required. NXOS is based on Linux. If you talk about Cisco iOS, it's a proprietary to Cisco, but this NXOS is based on Linux. That's why we have a cell access. You can go to the bash of the Linux and you can execute the Linux command also. In NXOS, Python is inbuilt in our Nexus switches. Even if you want to do the programming or you want to create the scripts on the Nexus switches, the Python is already there. This is a virtualized environment. Okay. In this virtualized environment, if we go here and we say py, so you notice that I'm in the Python interpreter. Yes or no, guys? Hello.
Yeah, okay.
So the Python is inbuilt there for the automation, and this is not available in Catalyst switches. So if you go to the Python, you can just enter here and you can just create the scripts. or we can exit using this command. So py, and you notice that right now it's 2.7.11 version. So the latest is Python 3, right? So this is an older version of Python, but it's available there. It's still running. Other than this, do we have any other significant change? Yes. File systems are boot flash and volatile. If you compare it to catalyst switches, on the catalyst switches we have flash and we have NVRAM. We have flash and we have NVRAM. We have the flash and NVRAM is there. Till now it makes sense. Any question here, please feel free to ask till this point. Guys,
Sir, what do you exactly mean by the boot flush and the file systems are boot flush and volatile means
sorry.
exactly?
Yes, sir.
Uh, what do you exactly mean by the file systems are boot flush and volatile?
See, in case of normal catalyst switches, let's say if I have to save the running configuration is in the RAM, and for the startup configuration, we need to copy it to the NVRAM, right? So
Okay,
we have flash, RAM, NVRAM. Likewise, in NXOS, we have the boot flash and as well as the volatile memory. So as it name suggests,
okay, yeah,
volatile.
makes sense.
Volatile means you can just compare it to RAM.
Yeah,
So whenever you reload your Nexus switch, the content of this volatile memory will be erased. The content of the volatile memory will be erased. So in this, we run the operating system. We have the debug files. We have the logs files, the temporary logs. But in case of boot flash, the property of the boot flash is non-volatile. So it is similar to NVRAM, but we have just simplified it with just boot flash. It can do what? It can consist or it can also persist our data even if you reload the device. So in this boot flash, we store the NXOS images, we store the configuration, the licenses, and the log messages. So the temporary logs are in the volatile, but once you save them, they'll go to the boot flash. They'll go to the boot flash. That's a difference here. As its name suggests, volatile. So the content of this memory will be erased once you reload the switch. Okay. To check the file here, you can say dir boot flash. So this is the command to check the boot flash directory. Like what we have stored in the boot flash will be in the output. Likewise, you can run a command dir volatile. So we go to the Nexus switch here and we say dir volatile. So in the dir volatile, we have this file site, the total space and the free space. So we have the volatile and boot flash. So if you want to check the volatile, you'll say dir volatile, and for the boot flash, I'll say dir boot flash. You got your answer?
Yeah. Okay.
All
So
right.
it's just change in the name only. So the functions are same.
Yes.
Got it.
These are the major changes we see whenever we access the Nexus switch CLI for the first time. The Nexus switch CLI for the first time. One more was the default username and password. In case of Catalyst switches, we don't have default username, but in Nexus switches, we have the default username with name admin. Default username with name admin. But in Catalyst switches, there's no default username. That's also a difference here. All right. Then we have seen how to save the configuration, which is very easy. Instead of write, we have copy running to startup. You can say copy running to startup. Okay, guys. That's the basic stuff related to the Nexus switches. Now, can we filter the output? Because in normal switches, we can say show running config pipes action username. If I just want to see the username configuration, here also we can say show running config pipes action username. Let's say. So we have these commands to check the specific output. These commands are available on Nexus switch also. This is a similarity here, right? Then you can say show IP interface brief include assigned. Please show me the interfaces where IP address is assigned. Right now, you notice that none of the interface has configured with an IP address, right? That's why if I say include assigned, it will say no. Let's assign an IP address to one of the interface. Interface Ethernet 1/1 IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.0, and I'll say no shutdown. Show IP interface brief. So we can notice now that on Ethernet 1/1 we have an IP address. And you notice that IP configuration is also similar to the Catalyst switch. So we have similarities here as well as we have few differences. We have the options like this. In case of Catalyst, let me do one thing. Let me add the Catalyst switch on side by side. Cisco I will. Here we have the Catalyst switch. On this switch, this is my Catalyst switch. Okay, if I'll boot this, if I'll start on the Catalyst switch, you notice when we create the username. By the way, there is not default username on the Catalyst switch. Go to the configuration mode, configure terminal. You say username. Let's say admin. Then we have the option to configure the password or the privilege level. I can say privilege 15. You have the full privilege. And then I can say password. Password is Cisco. And then you can say enter. Then you can say enter. Likewise, if we have the access of the NX OS, This is my Nexus OS switch or the Nexus OS operating system. In the Nexus OS operating system, if you say username, I said username is admin, then you directly have option of a role. Role. What is the role of this particular user? Network admin, network operator, VDC admin, VDC operator, privilege level. So you can choose a role for this particular username also. These roles are not available in the catalyst. We can configure a username, we can configure the privilege level, we can also configure the password, but the role is not supported here. So you can say RBAC is supported by default. So in the catalyst switches, we have the RBAC concept. RBAC stands for role-based access control. Role-based access control. So on the basis of the user role, we can control the access of the resources. What you can configure, what you can't configure. What you can configure and what you can't configure. Then the duplex. What are the duplex settings? When we have catalyst switches, on the catalyst switches, interface duplex is full, speed or the bandwidth is defined. If we have the Nexus switch, how we can check this? First of all, to check the properties of a particular interface, you can say show interface Ethernet 1/1. So in this show interface Ethernet 1/1 output, you notice that MTU 1500 bytes, interface is full duplex, and bandwidth at this moment is 1000 Mbps. But if you have 1000 Mbps in catalyst switches, you know what you will see here? You will see gigabit Ethernet. But like I mentioned earlier, in case of Nexus switches, we are not using the interface speed as a marker. We just represent it as an Ethernet interface. Whatever the bandwidth is, 100 Mbps, 1 Gbps, 10 Gbps, or 40 Gbps, you will always see this interface name, Ethernet 1/1. Guys, any of you familiar with Linux? Like, have you ever worked on Nexus? Sorry, Linux?
No, no, no.
Okay.
No, no.
Like I said, we have the Python option here. Similarly, we have Linux shell. Okay. In case of physical appliance, we have this bash. We can run it, and once you enter in that mode, you can run the Linux commands like ls. I was showing you here in the evng. Evng is also based on this. So we have this ls. If you want to go to a folder, the command is cd. There's a command here to create a directory also, mkdir. So likewise, the Linux commands are also supported on Nexus switches because the operating system is based on Linux. Operating system is based on Linux. You'll say in Catalyst switches, we have the VLANs. What about the VLANs on the Nexus switch? So this is my Catalyst. On this Catalyst, I say show VLAN brief. So we have default VLAN, VLAN 1. All the interfaces are assigned to it. Then you have VLANs 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. But if we go to the Nexus switch and we say show VLAN brief, you notice that by default we have just one VLAN. And that's very interesting because in Catalyst switches, We are not going to use these VLANs, guys. Even they are unsupported, but still we carry these burden in Cisco iOS. We just keep those images in the directory. So it is VLANs. But it doesn't make any sense if you're not going to use them. And even you have mentioned it clearly that these VLANs are unsupported. That's why if we go to the Nexus switch, you say show VLAN brief. Only one VLAN is there, which is the default VLAN. It is not showing us the VLAN 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1005. Okay, show VLAN brief. Show interface trunk. By default, we don't have any trunk here, but if we do, then the option is here. So interface trunk. This thing is very similar to our catalyst switches. Guys, here we can't configure an enable password. If you have noticed, we have the username and password by default, and then we directly go to the privilege mode. That's why we don't have the option to configure enable password or enable secret password. In catalyst switches, we used to configure banner. Remember, guys, any of you? This is the basic familiarity with the Nexus switches. Okay, so like we will be familiar with the Nexus, so that in future, whenever we'll be configuring VPC, port channel, spanning tree protocol, OSPF, as well as you can configure the VXLAN. So that time will require this basic stuff. So that's why, first of all, we'll become familiar with the CLI of the Nexus switches. So if I say banner, any idea of banner, guys? MOTD? Hello, say yes or no. So I request you guys to participate in the class. Just don't sit idle, okay? Because guys, if you just have to sit idle, then you can also watch the recordings, right? No need to be present here. So if you are present, please engage or please participate. So any idea of the banner, MOTD, message of the day?
Yeah, basically it displays the kind of messages we wanted to display when a user or someone is logged into the device.
Thank you, Shish. So whenever we log into the devices, either it is Catalyst switch or the Nexus switch, on all of them we can configure this banner. We can configure the banner message of the day. So whenever you log into the Nexus switch, if you notice right now, if I just say exit and exit, it's asking for the username. So I'll say username, admin, password, nothing. I'll just enter here. So we are again in the privilege mode. So right now I can say banner MOTT. Then you have to use a delimiter correct. Let's say I've used this dollar sign. Welcome to CCNP data center classes. Keep learning and grow your in your career. Okay, and then you can put that character back. This character. Once you just enter that character, it will notice. Okay, it means that this is the end of the message. It means that this is the end of the message. Now, if we say exit and again exit, admin. Must show it here, but again this is just a virtual image, guys. But whenever you configure the message of the day and you log into the Cisco Nexus switch, it will always show you this message that whatever you have written. You can also write a warning that unauthorized access is not allowed, or this is the default username and password. So if someone log in, they'll be like, okay, what is the username and password? So you can also put it in the message of the day that the default username is admin, password is null. You can just simply enter. Okay, all right. Then dir boot flash. Copy running to startup. Okay, must show file name here. Show startup. Hmm. Copy running to startup configuration. Okay, configuration was aborted. Why? Because right now we logged in with the username admin, which has null password. Okay, all right. So let's create a username admin. Admin username is already there, but we'll configure a password for this. Let's say password is Cisco. Show run pipe section username. So we have configured a username and password is encrypted now. After this, we can say copy running to startup. Now the configuration is saved properly. Once you save the configuration, it's not giving us an error message. Earlier it was giving this message. User admin has null password. Copy running to startup is aborted. So that's why we have created a username with a password and then we have saved the configuration. Now if I say dir boot flash, there must be a startup configuration file. Okay, show startup config. So we can verify with the show startup configuration that startup configuration is present. Earlier it was showing no startup config. Earlier it was showing as no startup config. Startup configuration is present. We have line VTY, line console, management interface. So right now line VTY is not configured. In order to configure the telnet or SSH, we can configure this line VTY. And on the line VTY, we can allow the remote connections. We can allow the remote connections. There must be an image, guys. Boot in the boot flash, we have an image with the name as startup config. Okay, no problem. But whenever we configure the configuration, we save it. We must have a username which is not having the null password. So that's why the configuration was not saved earlier. That's why the configuration was not saved earlier. Okay, guys, this was the quick idea of the Nexus switch CLI. Any challenge till now, or if you want to add any point here,
No, you could.
all good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then how does a Cisco Nexus switch looks like? Cisco Nexus switches. So it's look like a normal switch, but we also have switches like this as well. We have switches like this as well. One of the best thing they have changed in this Nexus switch is the placement of the console port. Guys, if you ever worked on Catalyst 2900 series, 3500, 3700, the console port was placed in the back side. Remember?
Yes.
Yes,
So we
yes.
have power socket in the back, and as well as we have the console port. But now, in case of Nexus switches, the console port is always available in the front. It's always available in the front side.
Even Catalyst also 9500, 9600 also front side.
Sorry?
Even Catalyst model 9600,
Yes,
9606.
the latest one.
Yeah,
But
9606, 9500 also front side.
yes, I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I
the
think Super.
older ones. They don't have the console port in the front, right? That's in the
Yeah,
back.
Superizer. Superizer is there. Superizer. We connect to Superizer.
Yes. Now, this Nexus switch supports two types of management, guys. If you want to access it, similar to a Catalyst switch, Nexus switches can be accessed by two ways. Local CLI access using console port. Remote CLI access using Telnet or SSH. But now you know the best part is on the Nexus switches, we have a dedicated management port, guys. I just want to explain this thing, and most of the time people are confused with this. Like, what is in-band management and what is out-of-band management? You might have heard of these two words. Anyone? In band management and out of band management?
Out of band management means they may be having a dedicated management port to
Very good.
configure that.
When we have a dedicated management port. So in band management, when we talk about in band management, let's say if you have a router, normally you remember that we were having a router, let's say Cisco router 1841. This router it has two interfaces by default, fast ethernet 0/0 and fast ethernet 0/1. And we have one console port also. We have one console port. Here I have connected switch and then we have connected the users. Here I have connected another router, have 0/1. A switch is connected and then we have connected users. Have 0/0. So now if you look at this, R1 and R2, they have the console port. If I want to make the configuration through CLI, I can just plug in the console cable to my desktop and I can start making the configuration. Then I'll unplug the console from router 1 and then I'll go to router 2. That's how we configure it. What if I want to access these routers from remote location? For the remote location, we have to use either Telnet or SSH. But what is the basic requirement, guys, for Telnet or SSH? The basic requirement is the IP address. The basic requirement is the IP address, right?
Yes.
So IP address. I can't configure an IP address on the console interface. So either you are configuring the IP address on this interface or on this interface. 12.1.1.2/24 and 20.1.1.1/24. So if I want to access this router 1 from a remote location using Telnet or SSH, I have to use either 10.1.1 IP address or I have to use 12.1.1 IP address. But the problem is these interfaces are dedicated for data traffic. So they are the data ports. But now they have to handle the management traffic also, because the Talent SSS traffic belongs to the management. So now these ports has to handle the management traffic as well. They have to handle the management traffic as well. So because of this reason, we have faced a lot of problems, and now the upcoming Nexus switches, the latest, or even in the Catalyst switches or Catalyst routers, the Cisco routers, we have out of band management possibilities. Because in out of band cases, if either it is a router or it is a switch, they have a console port for the local console access. They have the data ports. Likewise, the switch has the switch ports, and the switch also has a console interface, and one interface is the management 0. Likewise here, we have the console interface and we also have a management interface, management 0. So if I want to access this router through CLI, I can use the console or I can use the management interface where we can configure an IP address also. So using that IP address, I can access this router via Telnet, SSH. Even I can send my SNMP traffic, syslog traffic, all management related traffic can be handled by this interface now. So this kind of deployment is known as out of band management, guys. So on our Nexus switches, both type of managements are supported, in band management and out of band management. But it's always recommended to use out of band. It's always recommended to use out of band management so that we can separate the management traffic. So you'll always find a management interface. Like in this case, in our Nexus switch, so interface status, we have a interface, the management 0, and you can see that it's a routed interface. Duplex is full, speed is 1000 Mbps, and right now it's connected. The management 0. The name means the description we can set. So I can configure an IP address on this management interface, and it can be used for remote access connectivity, telnet or SSH. So this is the difference between in-band management and out-of-band management. In-band management and out-of-band management. Okay, let's come back here on the official website where it is. software.cisco.com. You were having access of this website, right? Then we go to download and upgrade. Don't worry guys, the Cisco websites are a bit slower comparatively. Browse all switches, data center switches. If I just click on Nexus 9300 series, sorry, and not this Nexus 9000 series. In the Nexus 9000 series, you see the platforms Nexus 9000V, 92160, 92300, 92304QC, 92348ZC, 92348. So you see few things here, right? You see the naming convention, guys. And we have a lot of switch platforms in even in the Nexus 9 series, 9000 series. But whenever you come across this Nexus switches and whenever you see a name, guys, please don't think that the name of the switch is a random thing. No, it's not just a random name. It holds a meaning. It holds a meaning always. The Nexus switch name always holds a meaning. So whenever you see a switch name, try to decode it. Try to decode the name of that particular switch. I have an example here. Let's say if we have Catalyst, the same thing is applied to the Nexus switches also. By just looking at this name of the Nexus switch, I can tell you that what is the minimum bandwidth of the interfaces of the Nexus switch and what is the maximum bandwidth of the interfaces. Okay, so we'll start exploring the hardware part, then we'll go further in making the configuration. But first of all, let's talk about this fact that whenever you look at this, you can just find it out what is the name and why we have this name. And for that we have this tip. So guys, whenever you see a switch and you will notice these keywords. If you see a switch name, in that switch name, you will always see these tags. You will see Z, P, T, Y, Q, L, C, D, and E. You'll say, okay, are we supposed to remember this stuff? No, we have the documentations always. But yes, having basic idea of this is good. It's a plus point. So if you see an access switch and it has Z in the name, it means that the switch ports can support up to 100 Mbps and they can go up to 1 Gbps maximum. If I have P, the minimum bandwidth is 1 Gbps, maximum could be 10 Gbps. If you see T, 100 Mbps, 1 Gbps, and as well as we have the 10 Gbps for the copper connectors. Why? For the Y, the minimum bandwidth could be 10 Gbps and maximum 25 Gbps. Q stands for quad. Quad means 4. So if you see Q, it means that that particular switch supports the switch ports having bandwidth of 40 Gbps. Having bandwidth of 40 Gbps. Then you have L. The interfaces can go up to 50 Gbps. C, 100 Gbps. D, 400 Gbps. And you will not believe, guys, you can have the switches having the bandwidth up to 800 Gbps also. Having the bandwidth up to 800 Gbps. So I was showing you the list here on the official website of this Nexus. You see YC, QC, ZC, right? You see this 9236C. So it means that this is a 9200 series switch, 36 interfaces, and C only. Only one type of interfaces are there, one type of bandwidth. 9272Q. So 9200 series, 72 interface, and Q means what? 40 Gbps bandwidth. Makes sense, guys? So whenever you look at the naming convention of a switch, please don't think that it's just a random name. It always holds a meaning. So in Nexus switches also, you are going to see these tags.
So can I ask one doubt?
Yes, please.
So long range and short range both will support, or only short range only support this much speed?
Sorry, voice gone. What you said?
No, actually long range SFP, short range SFP is there. Both SFP is there.
Yes.
Hello? Both can support or only one support? Only short range only support to this port. Yeah, are you understand, sir? What I'm saying?
So the long range and the short range, they just define the range of the connectivity, not the bandwidth.
Yeah, no, 800. You said 800. They mention it on SFP, QSFP like this.
Q means
Just
quad SFP. It supports up to 40 Gbps.
okay.
Q means quad, 40 Gbps. So in the case of SFPs, we use these terms SR or LR, short range and long range. So if you have like let's say 10 Gbps interface, so you can have short range SFP for 10 Gbps, or you can also have long range SFP for 10 Gbps. And how we define it, we have two types of fiber cables known as MMF, multi-mode fiber, and then you have short SMF, short multi-mode fiber. Short
Single mode fiber.
Sorry?
Single mode fiber.
Single mode fiber, yes, not short. I'm sorry. So we have the single mode fiber. So short range, we have multi-mode. For the long range, we have single mode fiber. But we have the SFPs for short range and as well as the long range. It's already mentioned in the name of the SFP. Okay. Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so the naming convention is also based on the bandwidth, the highest possible rate of data transmission. Okay, Nexus switches 2000, 3000, 5000, 7000, and 9000. We also have Nexus 6000, but that is used for UCS, specific use cases, and they are known as the fabric interconnects. So, guys, now it's your turn. If you have any challenge, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I think that would be enough for today.
So 7K, 5K is currently is available or end of life? This is just
Sorry?
7K, 5K, 3K currently available or end of life? That kind of switches
No, they are available.
available. Okay.
If you go to the Cisco official website also, if you got the images for this, like we have the image for Nexus 3000, 5000, 6000, 7000. So if the images are there, it means that switches are available. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
But
Thank you.
now they are got replaced by Nexus 9000. So in most of the networks, I'm not using 7005 or 3. I'm using 9000. But additionally, we have Nexus 2000 series also. And 2000 series switches, they are also known as fabric extender, or in short, we call them FEX. So they are not fully flashed switches. They are used just to extend the fabric. They're used to extend the fabric.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Yes. Yes, guys. Any questions here?
Uh, Sir, you earlier mentioned that we have two type of Nexus switches. One is physical one and the another one is the virtual one.
Yes.
So the physical one, I can understand that we have the physical interfaces and we can connect the devices. What is
Right.
the purpose of the virtual one? How it will be used in the production environment?
Purpose of virtual access switches, right?
Yeah.
Now, see, in the production environment, we'll not be using the virtual access switches. They are specifically designed for lab and testing requirements, or you can say lab and testing environments. If we have, we can use them inside it. Or let's say if you're going for lab preparation, so if you're preparing for CCIE data center lab, how will prepare for the lab? You can't purchase the hardware, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So most of the time they are not used in the production network, because in the production we need actual hardware which can process millions of packets. Yes, if you have a firewall can be a virtualized appliance. Load balancer can be virtualized. WLC can also be virtualized. But the Nexus switches, they are actively participating in the data plane forwarding. That's why in production environment, we can't have it as a virtual. We always need a physical Nexus switch, which can handle the amount of traffic generated by the users. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Yes, guys. Please feel free to ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Today.
I hope you guys have enjoyed the session and you find it informative. Yeah, you might be feeling like, okay, it was just the basic stuff, but this is must, guys. This is required. We can't just jump to the advanced topics. Okay, we'll be familiar with the basic ones, and then we'll jump to the advanced.
Yeah.
How do we access the recordings? Like,
Recordings, I'll share it with the management, and they'll provide you.
Okay, maybe by tomorrow morning we'll receive it or something like that. Or
I'll share it today, and then I think today, Kavya, how will you provide the recordings? Tonight or tomorrow? Are you there, Kavya? I think she's on mute. So I'll share the recordings with her, and then they'll share the link in the WhatsApp group. Okay?
okay, fine.
Because your email ID will be required, guys. We'll give you the access through YouTube using your email ID.
Okay.
Yeah. All right then. Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So
Okay. Thank you,
we'll
sir.
take
Thank
it
you.
tomorrow.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Praveen.